Just recording here. All right, so this is the Wellness Habits webinar. So I have Instagram here and then the recording from Zoom here. So I really wanted to do this because we hear a lot of information about all of these different wellness tips, right? And for me, I've had a lot of trouble with knowing how to actually put them all together. And so this is why I wanted to record this, is because it can be really overwhelming to be like, okay, all of these ideas are great, but how does it all fit together? And so I have this, let me close that here. I'm just going to share my screen over here on Zoom to show the handout, just so I can kind of walk through it here. All right, perfect. Julia, can you see that okay? You can just like type in the comments or something in the chat there. So I'm going to be covering mainly like why habits are important, morning routine ideas, nightly routine, and then kind of some different ideas for a weekly routine and how to kind of put it all together. So I want to keep it pretty simple. The handout here has a lot more information, but I'm going to try to keep it simple and just take what you want. You don't have to, let me pull this out of, oh wait, hold on. I'm going to do a new share here for just that one screen. All right, otherwise we have a ton of different tabs open. Welcome to my brain. So I invite you to think about like one thing that you feel most inspired by and trying to commit to that for like 14 to 21 days. And then we can always troubleshoot and add different things in from there. So let me adjust this here as well. All right, so why habits are important. Especially with the morning and evening routine, they can really have a profound impact on our wellness. I think ultimately, a really good benefit of having these routines in place is being able to lower our inflammation, because it's really the root cause of a lot of disease and illness that we see. And so having these habits in place really allow us to integrate these practices that reduce inflammation, like movement, stress reduction, food, water, sunlight, sleep. But we have to put them in our schedule somewhere. Otherwise, life happens and these habits don't, these practices don't get implemented. And then also on like a bigger picture level, if we take care of ourselves first, if we fill up our cup first, we can fully show up in our life to serve others and the planet. So this is kind of like radical self-care in action. And it's for the collective good, especially during all of this huge Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's really important that we take care of ourselves, and these habits are really how we do that. And then also I want to mention here, the doing of habits isn't difficult, right? The drinking of the lemon water, the gratitude practice, that physically isn't difficult. Deciding and committing is the difficult part. And so again, I want you to start small with what you feel most inspired by. So morning routine, why a morning routine? So how you start your day shapes your day. If you have ever experienced waking up late, like I many times have, and you're rushing in the morning, and then your whole rest of your day is affected. But if you start with like slow, mindfulness and movement, your whole day changes for the better. And so it's really about integrating habits that nourish, develop, and center ourselves before we go out into the crazy world. And so ideally, a morning routine consists of 3 different parts. Number 1 is physical, 2 is spiritual, and 3 is mental. Now you can do one of these, you can do all 3 of these, and it doesn't really matter the time, just 3 minutes counts of this. And these different pillars can mean different things for different people. So for example, physical is just really about getting our body moving, whether that's a walk, whether that's jump roping, whether that's a quick stretch, like opening up our chest in the morning. Spiritual, again, can mean different things to different people. So basically it's about choosing activities that help you feel centered, connected, joyful, and grateful. So for example, meditation is a great one. I highly recommend some guided meditations if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with that. It can be yoga for some people, gratitude journaling, listening to inspiring, peaceful music, whatever helps you feel centered and connected. And then mental, this really has to do with stimulating positive thoughts for our mind. So for me, I really love listening to uplifting personal development podcasts. And so I really like listening. I've been listening a lot to Tiffany Peterson. So I highly recommend checking her out. Actually have gotten a lot of these tips from her podcast, especially with the morning meditation. And so like for me, I go on a 30-minute walk every morning with that podcast in my ear. And so I'm getting the physical and the mental done in one step. So that's been really helpful for my morning. And so you can kind of read here on the handout some different ideas. Journaling can help with that, visualizing, and then some extra wellness tips that are really helpful is exposing yourself to sunlight first thing. This is because it really helps to balance our circadian rhythms, and then also helps us get that vitamin D, which is so incredibly important. Most of us are deficient in vitamin D. And so getting yourself into sunlight first thing in the morning is really helpful. So like for me, I drink my water outside and I take my supplements outside first thing in the morning. And then also the warm water, like I kind of just mentioned, on an empty stomach, kind of it's not water loading. It's I forget the word. You basically try to drink a good amount of water in the morning so that you can get enough water in throughout the day. It's really helpful. And then here, I'll delete that later. But if I kind of scroll down, so that's kind of the morning routine that I have found really helpful in starting my day, because I'm so not a morning person. But if I have things set in place that I know I'm going to do, like first thing, second thing, that's really helpful for me. And then I'll go through exactly what I do after I go through the nightly routine. And then you go through your day, and then, it comes time for nighttime and sleeping. And so I know that sleep is a big problem for a lot of people. And so there's some really easy things that we can incorporate by incorporating like a sleep hygiene regimen. So first thing, it's really important to note that we can regulate our circadian rhythms by two things, light and temperature. So like I mentioned, for the morning routine, first thing upon rising, get into the light and splash cold water on your face. Really helps our bodies know that it's time to be up. And then during the day, actually avoiding wearing sunglasses when you can. I know that sounds a little weird, but we want the light to hit our eyes so our body knows we're supposed to be up. And then 90 minutes before bed, there's a few things that are really helpful to happen. So one is dimming the lights. Again, we're telling our body, okay, it's time to wind down. It's time to get into that sleep mode. Get off our devices. I know this is easier said than done, but that blue light really affects our sleep hygiene. And getting blue blockers, or like the glasses, I have yet to get some. That's definitely on my list to get, but those are really helpful to like use those right after dinner. So we start to tell our bodies, it's time to go to bed. It's another really helpful habit is to set up your diffuser with calming doTERRA oils. So examples, lavender, frankincense, serenity, balance. These different oils are really helpful for helping trigger that relaxation response in our body. And then if you want to explore taking some sort of like herbal sleep aid, those can be really helpful. doTERRA has great ones. Their Serenity soft gels are fabulous. Copaiba and adaptive soft gels are also really helpful. And then also utilizing the relaxing oils topically as well. So you can roll it on your wrists, temples, and bottoms of your feet is a good way. Other ideas to wind down during this kind of like 90 minutes before bedtime, we can stretch, we can listen to guided meditations. Yoga Nidra is a really powerful tool to help relax our nervous system. It's actually much more rejuvenating than sleep itself. So that's a really helpful tip there. And then if you have a bathtub, take a bath with some Epsom salts and 2 to 3 drops of relaxing doTERRA essential oils of your choice. So again, lavender, frankincense, copaiba, balance. You can explore different ones there. And then also getting those oils internally. You can just put a drop in some hot water or some herbal tea and kind of sip that. It also helps because we're not supposed to eat like 2 to 3 hours before bed. So if you're feeling hungry, kind of getting that tea in, sipping that herbal tea can be really helpful to kind of fulfill that craving. And then also another tip here for nightly routine is making sure the room is cool. I think the ideal temperature that I've seen, I think it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And then also making sure it's completely dark. Because even when our eyes are shut, I think it's our pineal gland, if I remember correctly, that actually sees the light. And so making sure it's completely dark. So whether it's blackout curtains and or an eye mask, those things can be really helpful as well. And then also making sure we have a consistent sleep schedule. I know these things are so much easier said, like I can just, tally them off so easily, but again, it's the practice of being consistent with them. I am not good with a consistent sleep schedule. I'm really working on it, but just so you know, I'm kind of going through the ideal, the ideal situation, and then we get to work towards that. And so, going to bed and waking up at the same time each day, that's really helpful. And then ideally, we should be asleep by 10 p.m. Again, this is challenging for me, but I'm working on it. And this is because our natural cortisol curve, it lowers from like 4 to 9 p.m. And the lowest point is by 9:30 p.m. And then it starts to raise again by 10:30. So it's good to get to bed to avoid that potential like second wind that I know that I definitely have experienced. And then also ideally to get up with the sunrise. It's like 5 to 7 a.m. I'm not good at that myself, but I'm working on it. So if you do struggle with sleep, these are some really helpful tools and tips and habits to help support that. And a lot of them are free, which is awesome. And there's just some natural tools to help kind of support these habits. Something that I love about essential oils that I should have put in the beginning is they really help like anchor in these different habits that we have. For example, like setting up the diffuser 90 minutes before bed, that kind of reminds us, oh yeah, it's time to dim our lights. It's time to get off our devices. And, throughout the day, we can use essential oils to remind us to relax and to breathe and kind of stimulate different responses depending on what the goal is that we're trying to achieve. And then another tip that I have for habits is what's called habit stacking, which I'll add here in the handout later. That's not totally complete handout, but the idea of habit stacking is basically doing multiple habits at the same time. For example, let's see, what would be a good one? When we brush our teeth, what would be a good one for that? I don't know, maybe when you brush your teeth, you do like 10 squats or something, but it's kind of tying that in. Or if you want to get more consistent with putting essential oils on topically or doing skincare, whenever we brush our teeth, we know it triggers us to remember, oh yeah, it's time to put my face cream on, or it's time to use my relaxing roller or thyroid support roller or whatever that might be. And so habit stacking can be a really helpful way to integrate more of these habits without like having to remember at all these different times throughout the day, if that makes sense. And then for a weekly routine, I've just kind of put 2 things in here. I would say 1 day a week, make sure to dedicate, or like a few hours on 1 day a week, to dedicate some time to meal prepping. I think meal prepping is such a great tool to help save time, save money, and save packaging for the whole week. And so I'm going to be doing a whole webinar on meal prepping next week. Every Wednesday at noon Pacific Standard Time, I have a free webinar. So next week, June 17th is all about meal prepping. And so that's a really helpful thing to schedule in your calendar. Again, if we don't schedule it in, it just, life happens and it doesn't, these habits don't happen. And then also trying to shoot for about 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise per week, and then 2 days of resistance training. And so this is ideal here and totally doable. And if this overwhelms you, just think to move more and think about movement as like a reward, a self-love reward for your body. It's not a punishment. It's a great thing that we can do to support our wellness. Again, it's that radical self-care. It's that radical self-love. And so these are kind of two things I just wanted to note for weekly routines. And then for me, what I've kind of integrated here, and I have this daily routine printed out and posted like numerous places. So I make sure to actually get all of these different steps in. So for me, I currently wake up at 8:30. I'm trying to make it earlier. I wake up, I make my bed quickly. I open up the window to get some fresh air, brush my teeth, scrape my tongue, spray some toner on my face, do a little scalp spray for scalp health. And again, all of these are with doTERRA oils, and you can make your own toothbrush or toothpaste, toner, and scalp spray really easily. And then also for the like extra inflammation support, I do 1 drop of frankincense and copaiba under my tongue. So I've actually just combined both of these in 1 bottle. And so again, since inflammation is such a big part, such a big root cause factor of these different health issues that we can experience, adding in these different oils specifically can be really helpful. So it's a daily routine. So what I do, again, just combine equal parts of that in this bottle here, and I take 2 drops under my tongue. That's like first thing I do when I get into the kitchen. And then I fill a big glass of water with water, big glass with water. And I do wild orange and On Guard. Again, I've combined these to make it easier so I don't have to open up all these different bottles. And I just put 2 drops of this in the water. And then I do a pinch of sea salt, and then I go outside and I drink it. And so and then I set up my diffusers for the day. And the frankincense doesn't taste the best, so I'm gonna take some water. And then I do my like 30 to 45 minutes of movement. And then after that, since I've been listening to like the uplifting podcast in my ears, I feel really good about the meditation that I'm gonna do, or the visualization. I feel like amped up. I'm really excited about it. And so that's when I sit down and do like 5 to 10 minutes of meditation, and then my gratitude journaling with my oils that really help, again, kind of anchor in the habit, and then also the emotions that I want to feel as well. And then I'll shower, eat my breakfast. For breakfast in the morning, it's good to choose like really easily digestible things. So like a smoothie is really good in the morning. And then I will fill this bad boy up with water, and then I'll put some essential oils in. So I haven't added any yet because I wanted to show you. So what I've been loving to do is do 1 drop of pink pepper. So pink pepper is really good for cell health. It's really good for decreasing inflammation, helping support our immune system. And then I like to do like a citrus with that. So 1 to 2 drops of that. And then I'll just kind of sip on this throughout the day. I'll refill it a couple times to make sure I'm getting enough water. I like to do like check-ins at lunch or whatever, like, okay, how much water of this have I drank? If I haven't drank enough, I'll drink it. So at the end of the day, I'm not like, oh shoot, I haven't drank any water yet. It's kind of like those check-ins throughout the day. And then I will put oils on before I start work. Peppermint, rosemary, and tune. I'll kind of massage those into my scalp, kind of get me ready for that work mode. And I realize that I'm an entrepreneur and I run my own business. So this schedule might look totally different for you, but that's okay. I just wanted to give you guys an example of what it looks like to put all these things together. And then I'll do my work. And something else I want to highlight here is the last 15 minutes, I'm trying to get better at this, of work, whatever that looks like for you. It's really helpful to review your calendar, kind of clear your desktop and office space so that you're ready for tomorrow. Because there's, it's really helpful just for mental sanity and stress reduction to know what's happening tomorrow and kind of have like a clear space. So that's a really helpful tool as well. And then after I do my work, I use essential oils again, specifically Melaleuca or tea tree and petitgrain. I'll use that on my solar plexus here, which Zoom you can't see, but solar plexus kind of right here. And then also on the inside of my elbow creases. It helps clear my energetic field of whatever I might have picked up from other people. It's actually really helpful to use those oils in that way. And then I like to use more like feminine oils. That's what femme oils mean, like the rose or jasmine. And so that really helps my mind kind of wind down from work and help relax myself. And then I like to do some sort of guided meditation like Yoga Nidra. Again, if you just Google Yoga Nidra, that's a really helpful way to relax. And then I'll have my dinner, and then 6 p.m. and on, I really try to be off my phone, off work, and really devote that time to myself. So I might go watch the sunset. I might do some art. I might watch a movie, do a puzzle or some cards. And then by 9 p.m., again, I try to incorporate that nightly routine that I shared earlier, dimming the light, setting up the diffuser, doing my teeth and skincare, doing the stretching or the bath, whatever works for you. And then by 10 p.m., ideally, the lights are off. And so that is kind of my daily routine. Again, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm committed to it, especially when some heavy things are happening in the world, and especially when I want to show up in a more powerful way. I'm even more committed to this daily routine because it is how I have the energy to do the other things in my life. And again, a lot of these tips are free, which is so awesome. Like, of course, the essential oils are a totally added benefit. They really help with the inflammation, with anchoring these habits in for emotional support. But most of the stuff is free. It's just about committing to it. And then my weekly routine, I have my movement scheduled there. I'm not going to go into that. But then Fridays are when I go to the farmer's market, which is, if you're in Monterey, the MPC Farmers Market moved to Del Monte. So it's actually behind Macy's if you've been looking for it. I know that they just recently moved. So I go to the farmer's market and then I do my meal prepping when I get home. So that is pretty much all I had for the wellness habits. Of course, there's more things that we can get into, but I wanted to keep it somewhat simple. I know that I went through kind of a lot, but that's about it. That's kind of what I've put together for wellness habits. Do you have any questions? All right, Instagram, I'm going to sign off here, and feel free to message me if you have any questions, but I'm going to give the Zoom people some privacy. All right, thanks for joining. All right, so Julia, or do you have any specific questions that you wanted to go over? Any troubleshooting? I know that I've had to troubleshoot my routines a lot. I'm still working through like figuring out what works for me. So if you have any questions or if you want to brainstorm, I'm more than happy to do so. And I'm actually going to stop the recording here too. So if you're watching the recording, thank you. And I have a handout, so let me know if, I think when you register, I think it will automatically be sent to you, but if it's not, let me know, aliyahagen@gmail.com. All right, thanks.